Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. A young woman aging out of the Child and Family Services system in Winnipeg's most recent homicide victim. Despite the CFS involvement, the Winnipeg Police Service released the victim's name and some details about an arrest. APTN's Sav Jonza has more.
Men drop off piles of wood to keep a sacred fire lit for Avante Hartlieb, also called Avi. She was killed in the early morning of February 14th in Winnipeg's West End.
I still don't believe it's real, to be honest.
Ethan Tilling-Bell was Avi's boyfriend for 5 years.
Her love was something else. Basically, she loved everyone the same way almost. She kind of loved them like a mother in a sense.
Avi was 18 years old and aging out of CFS, the Child and Family Services system. In a press release Wednesday, the Winnipeg Police Service named her and said she is a member of the Sachigo Lake First Nation, a remote flying community in northern Ontario. WPS have also said they have charged a minor with second-degree murder and criminal negligence causing death in relation to this matter. The 14-year-old boy was arrested on Tuesday and remains in custody. Police say that Avi was pronounced dead on the scene and that the homicide unit continues to investigate. Tilling-Bell is still reeling from what could have been her future.
She was always dreaming of the future and saying oh, I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna do better than everyone else. But we all have that dream and a lot of us don't make it out, especially from a young age. We don't even make it out sometimes at an old age.
The house in question in the 500 block of Yonge Street is alleged to be a local trap house where illegal activities often take place. Melissa Robinson is a family advocate now with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. She says not enough is being done to prevent tragedies like this.
We see a lot of this. We see young girls every single day out on the streets, no resources, addicted to drugs, no real wraparound supports in place for them, and falling victim to the streets, being killed, being murdered. And what's happening? Nothing. They're being buried, put into the ground, and forgotten about.
Meanwhile, support from the Indigenous community continues as some pass by the sacred fire, paying respect to a young woman whose life was taken too soon, including Avi's friend Michelle Abraham, who says she last saw her 2 days before she was murdered.
She didn't deserve what happened to her. She's a missing and murdered Indigenous woman now. She was only 6 weeks into being 18. And I feel like the system failed her.
8 months pregnant, she says she will be naming her baby in Avante's memory.
The last interaction we actually had, she touched my stomach and was like, "Can I feel baby?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then an hour later, she left.
Many continue to ask questions about how Avi's death has been handled by CFS and police. Sav Jonza, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Our journalist Savanna Craig is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where she's doing a series of reports on Native American interactions with immigration and custom agents, better known as ICE. First up is a report on a network of Native Americans who are organizing in Minneapolis to keep the community safe from ICE agents. They are at the forefront of protecting the community.
His brown skin's a catalyst, the glass they smashed it in. Slapped his tribal ID, got his hand and tackled him. Said it was a fake, this doesn't look like you. Got a U.S. citizen, bruised up black and blue.
Art imitates life. For this Minneapolis-based rapper, his work is a commentary on the realities he's seen around him.
They took this native brother to the Whipple building,
including fear fueled by immigration and customs enforcement agents, better known as ICE.
Likely wishing they could kill him, disappeared civilian. He knew his rights indigenous and still they did him vicious. Yeah, I just wrote this one. I don't usually read my raps like that, but I ain't ready. I ain't got it memorized. So.
Tall Paul, an Anishinaabe Oneida hip-hop artist. Paul patrols for ICE agents.
We're policing federal agents, and that shouldn't be necessary.
APTN News joined a ride-along with Paul. As a father, Paul is concerned for ICE's impacts on youth. His patrols focus on protecting school zones.
It's just really being a presence at those time frames when students are coming and going They're young souls, they're powerless little human beings that need us to protect them.
Multiple Native Americans have been detained by ICE agents across the country. Paul puts himself at risk of violent interactions and detainment.
It's normal and okay to be vulnerable and to, feel any kind of fear. But it's about pushing through that fear and walking towards it and understanding that it's bigger than us, like it's bigger than me as an individual.
This is Ozuya. We're doing the Phillips neighborhood.
Oglala Lakota community member Ozuya Chikala takes part in these patrols.
The highlight times of patrol are anywhere from 6 a.m. to about 6 or 7 p.m. The main times that ICE agents are out kidnapping people.
He's putting himself at the front lines.
There's a little, fear or anxiety that comes with pursuing ICE and just highlighting them or following them because they can, hurt you physically, murder you in broad daylight, or arrest you and do whatever they want, with no repercussions, no accountability. And that's just, that comes with wanting to protect and doing actions to protect your community.
We use sage to smudge, take away the negative energy. We use it to pray. We use sweetgrass to pray. And so a lot of natives, we just keep it on our dash because it just gives us an extra layer of protection. 2
to 3 people patrol per car, updating encrypted chats about ICE sightings in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's on Signal, encrypted app. Sometimes they do get hacked, so they remake a chat, and then some of them are verified, and verified just meaning, the organizers verify each member. Personally, they know them so that they know they're a real person that's helping.
There's all walks of life amongst us.
Some are taking the tactics used in Minneapolis to push ICE out of other states.
It's incredible. I've never seen a community like this in a major city.
Including Arizona-based Dene Navajo actor and activist Che Jim.
I've been a part of Standing Rock. I've been to Oak Flats. I've been to some of these other frontline camps. And one of the things that makes this one particularly interesting is the fact that it is being done in an urban environment. And it's really the true mobilization of an entire city.
Hey everybody, Che here. I am at the Whipple Detention Center here in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Jim uses his large online following to share resources on how to mobilize against ICE.
This right here is the location where Renee Good lost her life.
Bringing that knowledge back home in Arizona, where Native Americans continue to be targeted and detained by ICE.
Is to go to these different places to learn and connect with everybody so that we can stand together, not only as Indigenous people, but as people of color and as a nation towards, the tyranny and the rise of fascism in the United States, and that is now being frontlined by ICE.
An influx of agents came to Minneapolis in December under a directive called Operation Metro Surge. According to White House border czar Tom Homan, the operation is coming to an end.
I don't want anybody to be under the impression that the end of this operation means that ICE is leaving, because they're not. They've always been here.
Despite a reduction in agents in the Twin Cities, up to 1,000 ICE patrols looking out for agents continued circulating in Minneapolis this past Monday. People like Paul say they won't stop until the community is safe from the presence of ICE agents. Savanna Craig, APTN National News, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Here again is Savannah with a preview of a story about a Dakota woman who was detained by ICE last month.
Just behind me is Whipple Detention Center. This is where Dakota woman Sophie Watso was detained for 48 hours last month. I spoke with Sophie this week about her experience. Right now, she's actually taking part in a TP encampment on the other side of the road here. Essentially, members of the encampment are demanding for an end to ICE agents in Minneapolis. They're also reminding community members of their treaty rights and providing a space to heal. You can see more of that tonight on APTN National News.
Thanks, Savannah. Time for a quick break, and then we'll bring you a look at tonight's Nation to Nation and this week's new episode of APTN Investigates. Welcome back. The Grand Chief of Anishinaabe Aski Nation and the Chief of Wapakika First Nation are raising serious concerns with Ontario's police watchdog. They accuse the Special Investigations Unit of, quote, disrespectful handling of several related investigations into the deaths of 3 NAN members at the hands of the police, unquote. T.R. Wheatley has the details.
NAN has been calling for accountability and answers into the June 2024 death of Bruce Frog, who was shot and killed by an OPP officer at Anishinaabe Park in Kenora. On July 2025, Frog's son, Eric Nothing, was shot and killed by a Anishinaabe Aski police officer in Deer Lake First Nation. Officers were cleared of any wrongdoing in both instances. Last week, the SIU released its final report on the death of Tyrese Roundsky, who was shot and killed by an OPP officer in Wapakika First Nation just days after Nothing. NAN says the report was released without any meaningful advance notice to the family or community. In a statement, NAN Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler said, quote, "It is unacceptable that the family and community had to learn through the media that after being shot, their loved one was neglected for 40 minutes by a police officer who did not render aid. The SIU director has demonstrated a complete lack of sensitivity in the release of its report," unquote. Fiddler has written the SIU and the Ontario Attorney General about, quote, "the continuing inability of the SIU to provide its services in a culturally competent manner."
The city of Thunder Bay has declared homelessness a humanitarian crisis. The declaration comes after Anishinaabe Aski Nation and neighboring Fort William First Nation had called on the city to declare a state of emergency. Here again is T.R. Wheatley.
The declaration recognizes the severity of current conditions, the increasing pressure on local services, and the urgent need for coordinated action across governments, Indigenous partners, and community groups. A report to City Council on Tuesday noted Northern Ontario is experiencing the fastest growth in homelessness in the province, more than doubling since 2021. The report by the Association of Ontario Municipalities says Indigenous people makes up 40% of the homeless population in the north. The declaration is intended to publicly acknowledge the urgency and human impact of homelessness and support efforts to secure additional resources and system transformation to significantly reduce it.
Now here's Nation to Nation host Karen Pugliese to tell us what she's covering on tonight's episode.
Coming up tonight on Nation to Nation, an Indigenous leader in Minneapolis tells us that ICE agents aren't just sweeping through immigrant communities. He believes Indigenous people are being targeted in these raids. At least 5 tribal citizens have been detained. We'll speak with Robert Lilligren, president of the Native American Community Development Institute, about why he sees a pattern and how the community is responding. That's tonight after the news on Nation to Nation.
Thanks, Karen. APTN Investigates returns this week with an all-new episode. And video journalist Rob Smith returns to his family's traditional homeland in Kingcome Inlet on BC's Central Coast. For decades, the Jawa-Danook First Nation has been at odds with a conservation group to get land back it believes was illegally appropriated. They say it's a dispute that may lead to direct action if a solution is not found. Here's a preview.
It's a spur-of-the-moment decision. Chief Willie Moon decides to head down the river. He's a hereditary chief and elected chief counselor for the Jawa-Danook First Nation. He has a story to tell.
We're dealing with Nature Trust. They purchased a lot of this land. The land was stolen from us. Ernest Halliday was an Indian agent up here and started just giving away land and really never talked to our community about it.
Okay, there's a ton to unpack in that statement. Trust me, we'll get there. But the focus of this morning's discussion is Nature Trust.
The Nature Trust of BC is a leading land conservation organization.
Established in 1971, Nature Trust of BC is a nonprofit conservation organization. Across the province, the group has acquired over 500 areas protecting 180,000 acres of land and water.
That's what we're fighting for now, is to get that land back. But dealing with Nature's Trust, it's a battle and a half by itself.
And you can catch APTN Investigates King Comes Ransom airing this Saturday on APTN. Rumble at the Rock is set to take place on Friday, February 20th in Richmond, British Columbia. The Buckskin Gloves boxing tournament began in 1949 with Indigenous young people attending residential schools. Now the event pays tribute to those survivors and is bringing Indigenous boxers from across Canada to fight at the River Rock Casino. Autumn Smiley fights as a junior middleweight. Going into the Buckskin Gloves, she has 7 wins and 4 losses under her belt.
Being among one another and participating in culture and ceremony is so powerful and it's so healing. So yeah, it's a huge honor, and I'm so happy to get to be a part of this alongside so many amazing people. Yeah.
Still to come, we'll chat with Juno winner Crystal Shawanda. Stick around. Welcome back. Here's a look at your current conditions. Sunny and -1 for Fredericton, +1 for Halifax. -17 in Kuujjuaq, 10 below in Nain. -4 and cloudy in Montreal, 11 below for Val-d'Or. -3 and cloud in Sault Ste. Marie, sun's out and 4 below in Ottawa. -6 with flurries in Thunder Bay, 11 below for Sioux Lookout. -26 this hour in Churchill, 20 below in God's Lake. -5 in Winnipeg, 12 below in Dauphin. -26 in Regina, 29 below for Saskatoon. minus 31 in Meadow Lake, 33 below in Buffalo Narrows. A little warmer in northern Alberta, minus 14 in High Level, 12 below in Fort McMurray. Minus 12 in Edmonton, sun's out and 7 below in Medicine Hat. Plus 3 with cloud in Vancouver, minus 1 in Kamloops. Minus 4 in Prince George, 11 below in Dease Lake. Minus 21 in Old Crow, 24 below in Rock River. Minus 16 in Yellowknife, 13 below in Wrigley. Minus 31 in Sax Harbor, 38 below in Pawatuck. Minus 20 for Chesterfield and Baker Lake, 36 below in Cambridge Bay. Minus 36 in Resolute, 32 below in Arctic Bay. Award-winning artist Crystal Shawanda was recently announced as a 2026 Juno nominee. Her latest album, Sing Pretty Blues, is up for Best Blues Album of the Year. It's a follow-up to her 2022 album, Midnight Blues, which also earned her a Juno nomination for Best Blues Album of the Year. I spoke with Crystal earlier. Crystal, thanks so much for being with us, and congrats on the Juno nomination.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Miigwech.
This is your 8th or 9th Juno nomination. Is it still a special feeling, though, to see your name and album nominated?
Yes, absolutely. I'm grateful and excited every single time. I never take any of it for granted, especially this year. You know, there were so many amazing blues albums out this year, and this was my first release back on my own record label, New Sun Music. So it feels like we went through an invisible finish line of where we're like, okay, we did a good job.
Sounds like you had a lot also going on, in the lead up to this album. Can you tell us what Sing Pretty Blues means to you?
Yeah, for sure. This album, it has a lot of life in it. It's the good, the bad, the healing, the redemption, and everything in between. I went through a lot of changes this past couple of years. My longtime manager, agent Rob Patty, passed away. I had a couple overdoses with one of my longtime fans and my nephew. So that comes out in the music, right? But the title track, Sing Pretty Blues, was actually inspired by a conversation I had with a photographer. I came off stage and he was like, "Oh, that was an amazing show, Crystal. I think I got a good picture of you, but I'm not really sure because you don't really sing pretty. So sometimes it's hard to get a good shot of you." And I was like, "What's that supposed to mean?" But I took it as a compliment, which is something I'm very good at. And I turned it around and turned it into a song because he's right. I don't sing pretty. When I'm on stage, I make all these funny faces because I don't really care what I look like. I'm just trying to get all these bad feelings out of me into the universe, because it's not just a show. Every song I sing, I'm healing a different part of myself, and healing is not always pretty.
Yeah, cathartic process.
Yes.
You're a former Juno winner, of course, taking home what was then known as the Aboriginal Album of the Year in 2013. You've been nominated outside of the Indigenous categories before, but we're finally seeing more of that, Indigenous artists being nominated in other categories. Do you feel like Indigenous artists are being recognized in a different way today?
Yes, absolutely. It's an exciting time to see so much representation and so many different mainstream categories. I won a Juno Award for Blues Album of the Year in 2021, and it was actually the first time an Indigenous artist has won that category. And we're seeing more and more of that. So it's really exciting, because I remember coming out onto the scene all those years ago and being one of maybe 2 Indigenous artists at the Juno Awards. So to see that change and to witness it and be alive in this time, it's an exciting time, and I'm so proud of everyone.
I guess, Crystal, maybe the flip side of that, do you have any concerns about artists out there misrepresenting themselves as Indigenous?
Yes, definitely. It's taking up spaces from artists who have the lived experiences. We've had to work really hard for those spaces to have those spaces taken away with that misrepresentation. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and it should be considered criminal. Absolutely.
As mentioned, Crystal, you've been around the industry for a tick or two, had success on both sides of the medicine line. What are some of the big changes that you've seen during your time?
Some of the big changes I've seen is artists coming into their own as far as, not fitting into a perfect little box. We're seeing more and more artists being able to cross over from different genres to other genres. And I think that's really exciting. And also people being able to take their career in their own hands. And, with the help of social media and the way things are going, you don't necessarily need to be on a major record label anymore. And so it's exciting to see that, being able to see artists be the captain of their own ships.
Crystal, any advice for the little Crystals out there?
I would say, as cliche as it sounds, I'd say follow your heart and always be teachable. Let people teach you. You don't know everything. You'll learn so much more if you let people teach you. And most importantly, don't ever give up.
Awesome stuff, Crystal. Again, congrats on all this success, and best of luck next month at the Junos.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, guys. Thank you.
And that is all the time we have for your first look at this Thursday's news. You can stay up to date with the very latest by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy Miigwech, thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here at 6 p.m. Eastern.